Good morning. For millennia, the Western Abenaki people have been stewards of this land where we now have the privilege of gathering as a religious community. Let us honor their legacy of love and stewardship. I'm Sarah Franklin, and your worship associate for this service. On behalf of the whole worship team, I'd like to welcome you all and tell you how glad we are that you are here. I'm especially glad to welcome you to the first UCM service to be led by our good friend, Emerita Johanna Nichols, the Reverend Johanna Nichols. You can see from your order of service that Reverend Johanna means both to challenge and to inspire us. We appreciate those of you who are able to assemble here, as well as those of you joining us from home by the live stream. We're glad to have your company and fellowship. For over 155 years, this church has been a sanctuary for those seeking spiritual sustenance, as well as advocacy for peace and justice in the wider world. We invite you to continue with us today on that path. Please know that should you need them, there are hearing assist devices on the back table there at the back of the sanctuary for anyone who would find them helpful. It's always a pleasure to have newcomers. Is there anyone here today who is attending for the first time or the second time? We'd be glad to give you a special welcome. Thank you. We all are invited to the coffee hour, and newcomers will find a welcome table there where they can fill out a hospitality form so that we can connect with you more personally. And today, Betty McKinnell is our lay pastoral caregiver. Betty, can you stand or give us a wave so we know where to find you? Our lay pastoral care team offers support during times of personal concern, challenge, or loss, and the prayers of the community are with you. Betty is serving now in this capacity. I think, is this your first time, Betty? I don't remember you are doing this. No, okay. Okay, I just wasn't paying attention before. Now you have my attention. I'm sure that many of us have already registered that our beloved former intern minister is with us today. We are so glad that the now fully ordained minister, Reverend Verdis Robinson, is here. And we know that wherever Reverend Robinson goes, wonderful music follows. And I've already heard them doing their run-through warm-up for this service. So you're going to be very pleased that you came today. We're going to be hearing from the Montpelier Community Gospel a Capella Choir, which Verdis directs. So now we can all join in the welcoming by taking a few moments to turn to your neighbors and exchange a few words of greeting. Thank you, thank you. You can certainly continue your conversations with the folks here in the room. Those of you at home can exchange words through chat during the service. And now let's take a deep breath and make sure our cell phones are silenced and enter more deeply into our time of worship with the prelude.
Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe. Each child that's born.
Come, mothers of courage and fathers of time. Come, sisters of mercy and brothers of love. Come, lovers of life and builders of nations. Come, seekers of truth and keepers of faith, makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. Come, let us worship. Let us sing, Come and Go With Me to That Land, number 1018 in the Teal Songbook. The words will be on the screen. There are 4 verses. The last 2 are in a little tiny print at the bottom of the.
We are glad you're all here this morning. Now we're going to have our chalice lighting and covenant. And I think I have persuaded Verdis to join us for this chalice lighting. So I think he knows the secret of how you can't strike the match on the outside of that.
I used to train.
Because, yeah. All right. We light this chalice, symbol of our third time's the charm. Symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If you have one at hand, we invite those of you at home to light a chalice of your own. Thank you, Verdis. We light this flame, an enduring symbol of our collective commitment to lead with truth and compassion. And please join us now in saying together our congregational covenant, which is in your order of service, I think. We covenant to speak honestly and listen deeply to each other and the voice within, to treat each other with compassion and honor our differences, to take responsibility for the impact our words, actions, and inactions have on each other. Support each other in times of need and of grief, and celebrate the beauty and joy in our lives. To honor the gifts of the past and be gentle with each other as we grow. Encourage each other in the brave work of creating a more beloved community and a healthy, sustainable world. And forgive each other and start again. I think we're going to hear the children's parting song now. And Sally's going to say a few words to you.
Before we invite the children and LSE volunteers to join in the Children's Chapel, there are two things I wanted to share with you. One is last week when we did all the little squares and you wrote your 3 words or 5 words, or some of you wrote sentences, they are on a bulletin board downstairs, so that if you wanted to see them, you can take a look at them. And there's also a couple of word clouds that have the 60 most used words. And you must have all listened carefully to my talk last week, because the biggest word is community. So that was where I was headed. So you can see that on the size of the word is the frequency in which it was used. And now, the second thing I wanted to tell you quickly is there was a glitch last week with our online signups for March Mystery Madness. That's been straightened out, so that please sign up there or sign up downstairs on the at the LSE table on a computer that we'll have down there, or a paper form. And I wanted to invite you, if you don't know what this is, that ask somebody, or you can find out online. The other thing I wanted to say is that some of you have done this for every year that we have been doing March Mystery Madness. And I invite you to please continue to do that, because our children change. They're the ones that started out when we first did this are graduating from college. So the children change. We don't so much, although we are changed by the children. So, and now, please sing, and we will head out to the Children's Chapel.
As usual, there are many announcements in our weekly e-news, and some of you may already have consulted with it. There are so many ways to participate in the life of this community. The most important word in the children's word cloud, that's impressive. And so here's one more timely announcement I'd like to share. Over the next few weeks, there will be a few tables and chairs set up in the vestry during coffee hour, and those interested in having conversations that might facilitate getting to know each other better will be able to sit for a bit and chat. Bring a friend, make a friend, give it a try. Thanks to Mary Ann Ludlow for initiating this community building endeavor. Please consult the weekly e-news if you haven't already done so, to learn other ways of engaging in the life of our congregation. Now it is time for the offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice. It is at the center of our giving in this community. With our collective resources, our free church gratefully supports the shared values of this congregation. Each month, the UCM Community Pouch Program shares part of our collection with a church fund or a community organization aligned with our values. And this month's pouch recipient is Rainbow Bridge Community Center. You'll find a thumbnail description of this organization in your order of service. And we may have a guest in. I'm so glad we hadn't connected before the service, but here to tell us more about this organization is Shauna Trainer. So Shauna will join us now.
Thank you all, and thank you, Sarah. My name is Shauna. I'm the Executive Director of the Rainbow Bridge Community Center. It is a 501c3 nonprofit queer drop-in center and resource hub on Main Street in Barrie, Vermont. Yes, there are queer people in Barrie, Vermont. And I do believe that we are very values aligned, because when I think of the mission of Rainbow Bridge, it is to create a more beloved world through the power of love. And I will say a couple of things about community, since it has come up here in our word cloud. Community is both the root and the fruit of our love. It is both required to see a world filled with love, and it is also what we will see when we have a world filled with love. So we will approach it from both sides, internally to the external and vice versa. And so when we say the words, there'll be justice in that land where I'm bound, there'll be freedom in that land where we're bound. While we're here, we are bound to this land, and we cannot wait. We will have a world of freedom and justice in our lifetimes. Thank you. We will do that. We will do that. And as I said, community is both a starting point and a destination. It is a destiny that we must lean into if we want to live this life. 10 years ago, I was right here in Montpelier. I was homeless. I was living in my car. I was a stranger to Vermont. I was parked just down the road a little bit from here. Hi, friend. It got real cold, and I ended up going to the Good Sam Haven in Barrie, and I lived there for a while as well. That was when I fell in love with both Montpelier and with Barrie. That was my introduction to Vermont. What a beautiful, loving people that live here. You know, we have the oldest mountains in the world here. The Green Mountains are 1 billion years old. They are worn down with time. They are not young bucks. They have been above ground for a long time, and they have been worn down, and I really appreciate that. There is a comfort, there is a wisdom, and there's a calming essence of this land that I think infuses into the people and can empower us to have that wisdom. I just want to appreciate you all so much in this journey, and I would invite you right now, at this very moment, at the Rainbow Bridge Community Care Day is happening. Community care is about uplifting each other. Community care is about living to fight another day. Sometimes just staying alive is all we have. Sometimes it's okay to lay in bed all day. If you live, you breathe, you can fight, okay? And there is a place in the revolution for everyone. It does not have to be on the street. It can be right in your bed, just staying alive. In a world filled with injustice, being alive is an act of resistance. Caring is an act of resistance. Loving is an act of resistance. So be strong. and join us, and I thank you all.
So thank you. And keep in mind that this will be our community pouch for the month. So if you want to plan for the rest of this month, you can designate your cash offerings, all of them if you wish, to the Rainbow Bridge Community Center. Thanks again, Shauna, for helping us to understand your mission. The green velvet offering pouches can be found on the left end of each pew with the hymnals. We're always grateful for each and every one of your gifts, whether made in person, mailed, sent from your bank, or automatically charged to a credit card. One by one, your offerings, like our choir's offerings, help us to build a better world. We'll hear from the choir again. In our community of care and belonging, we hold one another with love in times of joy and in times of sorrow. In that spirit, we share in the ritual of lighting candles of joy and concern twice a month. During candle lighting time, you may wish to come forward and share a special joy or a milestone so that we can celebrate with you. Perhaps an addition to your family, a special birthday, or anything that you have found worthy of celebration. You may also wish to share a personal concern, challenge, or a loss that calls for our love, support, and prayers as a spiritual community. In just a moment, you are invited to come forward to share your name and to briefly share in one sentence or two, before lighting a candle, the joy or concern that is on your heart. You may come forward and light a candle in silence if you wish. As a reminder, the service is being live streamed, so anything shared here in the room will be shared with our live stream viewers. However, this portion of the service will be removed before we post the video to our archive.
Let's take a breath. In a moment, I will ask you to place your right hand over your heart and close your eyes, and to think about the people who have loved you over the years, the people who have been there for you during difficult times, who have supported you without judging you, and who stood by your side even when it was hard. Think about the people who have celebrated your moments of greatest joy with you, the people who saw your successes as theirs, the people who derived such pleasure and fulfillment from seeing you happy. Just feel their love flowing through you, lifting you up, brightening your mood, and filling your heart. And knowing that that love is always there, even if they are not physically with you, because you carry that love in your heart. And know that you are, and always will be, worthy of that love. We will have 15 seconds, and I will keep time. Please begin. Right hand over heart. And now open your eyes.
Sing in our
This is the reading from the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. Choose to bless the world. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting, any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Good morning. Good morning to you who could join us this morning for worship, and you who are in the atmosphere of Zoom, where I am sometimes. I left this congregation in 1985 to go into the UU ministry. Brenda Bean, 46 years ago, invited me to come to this church. So you see, inviting friends can change the world, or at least the life of that friend. During the meditation, I imagined two people from 1982, when I was co-chair of the Social Action Committee, Ron Slayton and Jivka Fitzpatrick. Some of you knew them. Ron Slayton, the father of Tom Slayton and Gail Slayton, was on the Social Action Committee. Ron was always making good trouble. His passion was feeding people. So for a day-long demonstration for jobs and justice at the State House, Ron got the idea that we should make 3 huge pots of soup and ladle it out from the back of his station wagon. Put out a dish for donations. So we made the soup in the church kitchen, and off we went to the State House. We had no permit. That never stopped Ron. Afterwards, Ron left me in the kitchen to clean up and went off happily with money to buy a refrigerator for the food bank at the Methodist Church. He got a match from some women's fund in town that he knew about. I, however, was horrified to discover that the soup had burned onto the bottom of the pots. We hadn't asked anyone if we could use the pots, or if we could use the kitchen. And now we may have ruined the pots. And that was when Jivka Fitzpatrick came through the door. Jivka was the wife of the Reverend Gerald Fitzpatrick, who had been the minister here for 35 years. Jivka was an icon. She was tiny, but fierce. I had to face her and confess our deeds. To my surprise, she got out baking soda and showed me how to apply it to the pots with a little boiling water to lift the burned soup. The pots were saved, and so was I. You see, this has always been a community that believes in good trouble, necessary trouble, for standing up for justice and equity. Jivka was affirming me for carrying on that tradition. We became friends. We are the breath of our ancestors. Since I joined this congregation in 1980 and then going into the ministry, I have been in communities of Unitarian Universalists. I mean, that's a long time. It's wonderful. I've been in community with those who stand up for justice, equity, and the democratic process. I have never had to stand up alone. We are lovers of life and makers of peace. We are seekers of truth and keepers of faith. On February 13th, 2022, just 2 years ago, this congregation voted to support the eighth principle. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Before that vote, in the 5 years before the pandemic, Reverend Joan, Liza, Earl Centers, and the Racial Justice Group sponsored practice sessions for talking with children and youth about race, interrupting hate and unintentional bias, common book readings, collaboration with Beth Jacobs Synagogue and the Central Vermont Refugee Action Network. Reverend Verdis, Reverend Joan, and Liza brought Abenaki and African American music, readings, and themes into worship. The congregation dedicated the Black Lives Matter flag in 2018 and began the land acknowledgement 1 year later. The Racial Justice Group meets monthly and continues to create pathways for us to accountably engage in racial justice. Our Unitarian Universalist history is deep with exemplars who stood up for freedom, going back to our founding before the Civil War. Now, it is our time. We are called to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We are called to support democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large, to be diverse, beloved communities where all thrive. Beloved community, by definition, happens when people come together in an interdependent relationship of love, mutual respect, and care that seeks to realize justice within the community and in the broader world. That's in the Article 2 proposal. There have been times in the history of Unitarian Universalism when we had to stand up for the core values of our faith. We are in such a time. The backlash to the Black Lives Matter movement, to immigration, and threats to transgender people, to women and abortion providers are tearing our society apart and endangering lives. Some percent, perhaps a majority, possibly a majority, of the country wants to build multiculturalism, dismantle racism and other oppressions, use the democratic process to make decisions, while the other percent, possibly a minority of the country, wants to limit accessibility and inclusion in healthcare, education, and citizenship, and attack democratic institutions. We seem to be losing our moral compass. I don't know if, like me, you are fearful for our institutions. This is a nation built on the rule of law. It is our foundation. In a recent letter, historian Heather Cox Richardson wrote, "The founders had used their passions to create a system of laws, but the time for passion had passed, lest it tear the nation apart. The next generation must support democracy through sober reason," Abraham Lincoln said. He called for Americans to exercise general intelligence, sound morality, and in particular, a reverence for the Constitution and laws. We are not even certain that the Supreme Court reveres the Constitution. We are not sure how to stop this sledgehammer to our foundation. In the 1950s, an anti-communist campaign of persecution and fear-mongering was tearing us apart. In March 1954, in response to the investigations of a junior senator from Wisconsin, Edward R. Murrow gave this radio editorial. God, I wish I had his voice. I don't, but these are his words. "We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason. If we dig deep in our history and our doctrine and remember that we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who feared to write, to speak, to associate, and to defend causes that were, for the moment, unpopular. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent or for those who approve. We can deny our heritage and our history, but we cannot escape responsibility for the result. There is no way for a citizen of a republic to abdicate his responsibilities. As a nation, we have come into our full inheritance at a tender age. We proclaim ourselves, as indeed we are, the defenders of freedom, wherever it continues to exist in the world, but we cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. Of course, he ended his broadcast with, "Good night and good luck." Who is going to stand up for what is fair, what is just, and for core values? Who is going to have the moral courage to speak truth to the powers that are attacking the migrant and trans communities, advocating violence against women, taking away health care, denying climate change, throwing children into poverty, and attempting to erase the history of racism in America? Amen. As adults, we begin to understand our own unique beliefs, feelings, and needs. how we currently think and make conscious choices. We don't necessarily become adults equipped with the skills we need to face our fears. We are constantly learning. Haruki Murakami says, "What seems threatening is just the echo of the fear in my own heart." What seems threatening is just the echo of the fear in my own heart. Jack Russell and Glenda Otto from the Center for Self-Sustaining Leadership say that most of us have fears, often the same universal fears. It's part of being human. We all try to cover up, hide, avoid, deny our fears, but they don't go away. Having fear is not bad or wrong, it's human. If we are willing, our fears can inform us. We can embrace and change our fear. Facing into fear is a powerful option. It is also part of being human. In their courses, they teach skills to move from fear to love. Rebecca Parker names the skills of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can do the work of justice or offer love. Vivek Murthy, our Surgeon General, reminds us that when you stand in strength, you allow others to find you. And every time you act out of love, whether that's to a member of your own family or a moment of kindness you express to a stranger, you are telling people around you that it's okay to give and receive love as well. You're inspiring people to be a new way and to be a new person in the world that constantly seems dark. And in a world that is full of despair, small acts of kindness are radical acts of defiance. And they're the force that we need to ultimately build the world that we all need. UUs and the UUA have done good work in fighting racism, such as during the Civil Rights Movement. In the 1990s, the General Assembly passed a resolution to become an anti-racist, anti-oppression, multicultural organization. In the last 3 decades, the UUA has steadily provided materials and training to congregations for the work to overcome oppression and racism and promote multiculturalism. In the fall and winter 2 years ago, 40 people in this congregation took the Beloved Conversations program. Some of you here? Yeah? Yay. Beloved Conversations is a program for people seeking to embody racial justice as a spiritual practice, designed to heal the impact of racism on our lives in order to get free together. Of all that the UUA has offered, this Meadville-Lombard course had the most impact on me personally. One vivid memory is a woman of color saying, "I just want to be able to walk out my door and feel safe." I wish that for all human beings everywhere in the world. Many UUs of color are calling for something more, in the words of the Reverend Martha Valentine, calling for the pale center to turn and face the edges where a rainbow of colors and faces are engaging in a Unitarian Universalism that breathes love into its very core from our well-worn hearts. They will find us no longer waiting, but creating a Unitarian Universalism of our own for everyone. Delegates to the virtual 2024 General Assembly in June will cast a historic vote on whether to update the association's bylaws with a new set of core values. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of 6 shared values, it states. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Vivek Murthy sounds like a Unitarian Universalist when he assures us that there are others out there who want what we want, a world that is more connected, a world where we can actually be there for one another, a world that's actually powered by love and that is within our grasp. We only have to see it, to name it, and to start taking actions in our day-to-day lives to build that world and reflect those values. But we don't have to do the work alone. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. Choose to bless the world. Thank you. We are going to sing number 95 in the Great Hymn. True. In the Great Hymnal. Number 95 in the Great Hymnal, There Is More Love Somewhere. It's a zipper song, so you pick it up. The words will be on the screen, too.
to extinguish the chalice, but not the light of hope or the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. We're going to find soup. We're going to clean the pots. We're going to make it again. All right. And as you go to the coffee hour, you're going to remember that you have an opportunity to sit down and make a new friend. So I think I don't need to light the chalice. I need to extinguish the chalice. I was so excited about the soup. Blessed be.
Let's just say our mission statement together. We welcome all as we build a loving community to nurture each person's spiritual need, serve human need, and protect the earth, our home. The choice to bless the world will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
And for our postlude, the Montpelier Community Gospel Choir will sing No Ways Tired. It's always a pleasure to be here, and it's also a pleasure to see many of you who haven't seen in a long time and all that great stuff, so thanks for having us. UCM is our rehearsal home for the choir, as well as our performance home for the choir. So come back on Saturday at 7 o'clock here, right here, will be the Montpelier Community Gospel Choir, and with the theme, Feel the Spirit. So you already know what's about to happen, right? And that will be live streamed as well. And then on Sunday, next Sunday, a week from today at 4 o'clock, you can get tickets from montpeliergospel.org or at the door. A pleasure seeing you and pleasure worshiping with you. No Ways Tired.